Ducey, and today with me I have Wayne Nash from Athlone. Wayne has had a few problems with the Gardai, and he's going to tell us his version of events on how he's been harassed and intimidated by the Gardai. Wayne, this hassle with the Gardai probably started with you about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, okay, I started back since I was a young fella. I suppose I was bullied and harassed by Gardai, and that's where I'm from. But just the last couple of years, 2011, just after my father died, one member of Athlone Garda, Brian Keane, was harassing me, and they summoned me to court. And in court, he lied about me, Athlone District Court in front of Seamus Hughes.
And what rank is this Garda Keane?
Well, apparently now he's a community guard.
Community guard, yeah.
So if he treats members of the community, I don't think he'll go too far.
And what was the charge he brought against you?
Oh, he put down it was no tax on the car. He confiscated my car. He pulled the keys out of the ignition. The car was brought over to Ballycumber to a compound. I told him, look, the car it's insured, it's NCT. I just bought a car, but he wouldn't believe me. And he pulled me out of the car with 2 other Gardai, put the handcuffs on me, and brought me over to the station. And then I was let out about an hour later, and I summoned to court. This is 2011, but if I know now what I didn't know back then, I would have challenged him. So let's go back to 5 years ago. Actually, I remember one time that this Garda, who someone who lied about me, who said to the judge that I told him to F off on his bicycle. Okay, now the judge believed this man and gave me a month in prison, but then he changed his mind to community service. So I appealed his decision, and I went to the circuit court. Okay, so that was fine. So while I was waiting for a circuit court hearing, I went up to the courthouse myself because a friend of mine was up there, and I sat down at the back of the court. I had a piece of paper. I'm just writing down, what sentences were handed out. And the judge says, "There's a man down here with a hat." He says, "Come up here." He says, "Are you a journalist?" He says to me. "Get off that hat." He says, "Take off that hat." So I took off the hat. He said, "Why are you writing down there?" Hand that piece of paper to me. So I handed the piece of paper, and I explained to him that I was just writing down sentences that you hand down. He said, "What do you mean by that?" Well, I said that you were making reference to a traveller lady, I think it was up in Nash, got 6-month prison sentence for stealing food items out of the system.
The man that actually was 22 asked why you were writing things down, Seamus Hughes, that day. We actually have a lot of information on Seamus Hughes. We know he had penalty fines quashed or whatever it is. We also know that as a solicitor, he had a very checkered history in Sligo, and we still have all the stuff on Rachel's solicitor. An awful lot of allegations about the man as regards improprieties as a solicitor. Actually, unbelievable that he was made a judge, but he was actually the state solicitor that prosecuted me in front of Mary Devons years ago, so I know all about Seamus Hughes and how corrupt he is, and I've no problem telling him that. But anyway, how did you answer him when he said, "What are you writing?" Or
oh yeah, well anyway, he says, "What are you writing there?" I says, "I'm just writing down what sentence has been handed out." And he says to me that, he says, as I said, I've had reference in relation to the traveller getting a 6-month prison sentence, and he found a school ed, and all he could hand down to him was a 2-month prison sentence for somebody who had 39 previous drink driving convictions. And I said, "By the way, Your Honour, you gave me a month in prison for allegedly telling the Garda here to F off his bicycle, which wasn't true." "All right," he says, "Mr. Nash," and a kind of tongue-in-cheek, smart response. He says, "And did you go to prison, Mr. Nash?" And they see you had Mr. Hayden representing you, who was a solicitor, who came off record, may I add, as well,
That goes to show you, doesn't it, Wayne, that it's one law for one and one law for the other. We're a different level.
We're treated like children.
Yeah, that's it.
We must be the lower echelons of society, apparently.
And that's the way it looks.
What's column been described as?
Recently we had it in a court case from the superintendent in Ballina and from a Judge Kevin Kilrain, another corrupt judge, that he classed Colin as an undesirable, a man that was never convicted or done anything wrong, the same as yourself in his life, but that's the way they look down on us. But I think the reason is because we're opinionated, because we're fighting back and biting back. That's what's doing it.
Well, according to the Constitution, we're entitled to free speech. Okay, and we live in a democracy. Supposedly. But this will go back to my other point as well. While I was up with Mr. And he said, "Did you go to prison?" And I said, "No, Your Honour, I didn't go to prison." I says, I've appealed your decision and I went on a circuit court hearing. All right, he says, Mr. Nash, aren't you looking now, Mr. Nash, we live in a democracy. And I says, sorry, democracy, yes, Mr. Nash, democracy, thinking that I wouldn't understand the word, the wording of democracy. And I said, Judge, I disagree with democracy, it's a financial democracy. Well, what do you mean by that, Mr. Nash? You know what I mean? What do you mean by that? And I said, well, I'll tell you what I mean. I says that, you know, I had to pay 200 or 250 euros as Republicans, I says, to appeal your decision. And for me to appeal your decision, I had to have that money. Now, would the state put up that money? What were the people who are poor and didn't have that money? So that's not very democratic, is it?
Yeah, there's a serious arrogance in the way they look down on people that's trying to fight for justice. But
so on it, yeah, you didn't finish the point, Jeff. I was going to say it there.
You know, and go back to that as well. He says, all right, he says, Mr. Nash, he says, I says, a financial democracy, Your Honour, is what we live in. All right, he says, and then he said, well, I'm asking you, Mr. Nash, to leave the court. And I said, well, you're barring me if there's a barring me. Oh no, Mr. Nash, it's a public area. We can't bar anyone from the court. Well, I said, Judge, that's fine, but you interrupted me. I'm sitting here minding my own business. You interrupted your own court. Yeah. So that was that, just with Mr. Hughes.
And did you actually leave the court that day?
Yes, I did.
Just for peace, is it?
Just I left it. I didn't want to cause any confrontation.
Absolutely.
But just what I'm trying to say is that I think that the Gardai know the judge. They all go and have coffee together and play golf together and eat biscuits together and say, oh yeah, here's Mr. Nash now, or here's Mr. Bloggs, or here's somebody. And I think the Gardai hide behind the flawed system, which is the district court, which I call a bank.
Yeah.
I believe them all to be intertwined, the Garda, the solicitors, judges, the whole shooting gallery, and they all work together, and it's not for justice either, or financial gain and whatever. But
can I just make a point as well that Seamus Hughes is on a salary of 175,000 or 180,000, plus he incurred expenses of 42,000 per year.
That seems to be a thing with all the judges.
So doesn't it put it straight that Joe, like this man is getting the bones of $250,000 every year. While you put people in prison, Joe, you know, for allegedly calling a guard to tell him to F off on their bicycle, or if
tax and insurance,
if no tax or something. So who's funding the prisons?
But I mean, it's crazy the amount of expenses. We had it there with Kevin Kilrain as well, another judge on the Western Circuit, and he was claiming massive travelling expenses.
60 plus, wasn't it?
66,000, I believe, in 2013 and whatever since. But we know they're all at it, and that's what we're trying to expose.
And another thing, Joe, as well, is that I did a bit of research on this judge that before he was appointed a judge, you know, he was a state solicitor.
That's correct, yeah.
And he says to a reporter, a journalist, that you know, that he'd be a fair judge and he'd listen very carefully to people that come before him and he'd make very judicious decisions. Well, I would ask people to go and Google Seamus Hughes and see, does he stick to his word?
Well, as a state solicitor, when he was involved in prosecuting in my case, which is some 15 years ago, the man just lied one lie after another, and I have no problem stating that the man is a liar. I have no problem standing in front of the courtroom and telling him he's a liar, and
he's going to go for the kill.
I know he's a liar, and I can prove it.
And as a good friend said to me, you know, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything.
That's exactly
it. It flows out of you naturally, doesn't it?
That's it, yeah, the truth. You don't
so they say, if you think about it, it's the truth.
So that was my brief
debate. Always know.
So we'll move on.
Sure.
And
so that yeah, I was going to say that. That's 2011.
That's 2011. Yes.
What did you say about incident about Garda Fallon?
Yes, okay, we can carry on to that.
Okay,
so 2011, you know, and so yeah, we'll just forward on to that. So anyway, I went to the circuit court, okay, and in the circuit court, I wanted to summon this Garda Brian Keane, and other members of Garda Síochána, and it was adjourned for 12 months, and all of the Gardaí failed to show up on the day in question, and the case was withdrawn by the DPP. So, were they telling on truths, Mr. Hughes?
of course they were, yeah.
You know, which happened last year, okay, in 2015. I was driving my car, I was stopped at a checkpoint by two members of Garda Síochána. They asked me to blow into the breathalyzer, which I did, but they couldn't register a reading. So then I was arrested and taken to Tullamore Garda station. And this Garda was Garda Laura Fallon. And inside in the station, I was abused by her, and I said, I'd like to request a doctor and a solicitor. What she said to me, and this is the truth, and I'd swear on the Bible, I'll fucking decide if you, sorry about that, but she says, I left and decide if you get a doctor or solicitor. And I said, sorry, Garda, you deny me my rights in this station.
That is an awful statement for a guardian of the peace to be making.
This is what she said, Joe.
And someone that's supposed to protect your constitutional rights. But I witnessed this myself in court, so I know exactly what you're saying.
So what she said then, right, after that, she said, I left and decide if you get out to a solicitor. And I said, sorry, you deny me my rights. So she goes away then and checks the pulse system and comes back. And she kind of cunningly whispers in my ear before she puts me into the cell. Oh, you seem to know a bit about the law, Mr. Nash. She says to me and slams the door back.
Yeah.
You know, really hard behind me. Okay?
And what have you been arrested? What had you been arrested on?
Well, the charge was for failing to provide a sample of my bread.
Yeah, but they now had you in the barracks. Surely they could have done something about that.
Well, they should have asked me to blow into the white machine, the proper fertilizer machine, but they wouldn't allow me to blow into the fertilizer machine.
So they just wanted to incarcerate you?
Incarcerate me.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so then...
Pure spite, pure malice.
So then the doctor did come about an hour later, no solicitor may have, and then I gave a urine sample. Okay, that was sent off to be tested.
Yeah.
Okay, with Irish Medical Bureau, and okay, I was let out about an hour later, right, or an hour and a half later, after I given the sample, and Joe, they wouldn't even get this was in Clara now where my car was parked.
Yeah.
And I asked him, sorry, no, I have no phone on me, I've no wallet. Can you get me back to Clara?
Yeah.
No, we're not having out. So the way I done a taxi, Joe, I paid 15 euros, went back to my own car.
Yeah.
But they don't understand this, Joe. If they were in suspicion that there was alcohol in my system, well, why would they give me my keys and my car to drive home?
Because they knew you weren't, they were just intimidating you and harassing you.
So my question,
Okay, may I ask, did they give you a sealed copy of the urine sample as well, or a sealed bottle of it?
yes, they did. They handed me back
Okay.
one of my own. So anyway, I was tested, Joe. But anyway, as I was leaving the station, I was summoned to appear in court. This happened on the 22nd of March February 2015.
Yeah.
And I was summoned to court 2 weeks later in March.
For what?
Well, for failing to provide a sample of my bread. Right?
Okay.
And so the plot thickens.
So,
Right.
and Keith was beside me there,
Yeah.
and Keith came with me. He was in all the court appearances in Tullamore. So we got to court anyway in March, the first court appearance. No sign of the Garda. And I says to the judge, Judge, why isn't the Garda present? Oh, she doesn't need to be present. And I said, well, Judge, what if I'm not present? What will happen? Oh, there's a bench warrant for your arrest, Mr. Nash. And I says, bench warrant for my arrest? And I says, under Article 40 of the Constitution, are we not equal as Irish people? So what makes the Garda more equal than you or I? You know?
There's a lot more to say about this hearing because it was adjourned in about 2 or 3 times more, wasn't it? And as Wayne was saying, he was only waiting for it to be quashed, this case. I'm sorry, you're free to go, Mr. Nash. You know what I mean? It's been all quashed, been cleared. And Wayne knew it was leading to that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Especially the guard not turning up, as they never do. You know.
Just go back to that point, sorry, Joe. Let's get back to that point. When the guard failed to show up, now I had a sample back from the Irish Medical Bureau, there was no alcohol, zero
drugs,
zero drugs, but they weren't happy with that. She said, Mr. Nash, I have to adjourn this case now. And she says, till this is March, till May, wasn't it? May. And I said, that's fine, Your Honour, and I can categorically state there'd be no alcohol or no drugs in my system, because the inspector stood up that he needed another cert from the Irish Medical Bureau, and I questioned that, and I said, because I was representing myself. And I said, what cert is that, drugs? Oh yes, I said, Judge, there'll be no drugs in my system or no alcohol. As you can see, there's zero alcohol from the Irish Medical Bureau. There'll be no drugs in my system. Anyway, that's fine. Okay, Mr. Nash, we have to adjourn this case now till May. I said, that's fine, Your Honour. Now, will this Garda be present in May? Oh yes, Mr. Nash, he will be present. And I had to correct it, George. Sorry, Your Honour, it's not a he, it's a she, it was a blind Garda. Oh, she will be present, Mr. Nash, in May. So that's grand. So 4 roll on May, go up to court, no sign of the Garda. And I said, Judge, why isn't this Garda present again? She failed to show up in March and she failed to show up in May, and you told me way back in March that this Garda would be present. No, I did not, Mr. Nash. I said, alright, second Honour, you did say that to me, and I have it written down. Now, if you want to check back in the DR, the audio equipment, it will state what she said. You were there as a witness to that. So then the inspector stood up and says, yeah, Joe, you have another cert from the Irish Medical Bureau, there's no drugs in the system. So we've established something now, there's no alcohol in my system and no drugs in my system, so why was my case squashed? But no, that didn't happen. Now, this is very interesting, right? This is very interesting. So,
this is a crazy situation.
So then, as I was waiting there, the Inspector John Lawless stood up and said, Judge, we have a letter here from Mr. Nash that he tried to kill this guard and kill the guard's family. Honestly, I couldn't believe what was going on before my eyes. And the judge turned around and said to me, "Oh, you're intimidating witnesses, Mr. Nash. Second calling." So I had to go back up into the the court area, wait there for about half an hour, 40 minutes, while they photocopied the brochures, okay, which would be the letters, which I didn't write. The first I know, but there was no envelope, Joe, there was no stamp, just 3 pieces of paper. That's fine.
And how did they maintain that you threatened the Gardaí?
Well, it's a good question, Joe.
Yeah.
Because this is what the Inspector John Lawless said to the judge.
Yeah.
Right? So, second calling came, and the judge says that the Garda said, "Well, to judge this case again," is what the judge says. And the guard says that he'd like to meet of no conduct directly or indirectly with the guard's family.
Yeah.
And I object. I said, "Hold a second, no, Your Honour. Serious defamatory allegation was made against me." I says, "About this letter."
Yeah.
And he said, "Write this letter, Mr. Nash." I says, "No, I did not write the letter." I said, "Perhaps members of Garda Síochána wrote this letter to trying to frame me for something I didn't do."
Right, yeah.
And I said, "Your Honour, you're supposed to be impartial and unbiased, but you're taking the word of a Garda over mine."
Did they say you threatened the Gardaí? What have you supposed to have they exactly said to them?
Well, this is it, because I mean, I wasn't given opportunity to defend myself,
Yeah.
because these letters were just produced in court on the day, of course.
Right.
It wasn't in March, just in May, when the Garda failed to show up on 2 occasions. So why wasn't she present to answer the set allegations that was put before? She wasn't there. So there were serious allegations made. So just what I did, Joe.
The letter that they tried to say that you threatened the Bound Garda with, this is ridiculous. I mean, first of all, there's no threat in it. It's not signed by anyone. It's not named to anyone. And to bring an unsubstantiated allegation, which this is, into a courtroom, it's just crazy. You must have felt shocked.
I felt hard done by it, Joe. Yeah. I mean, you think the courts would be, you know what I mean? You get justice in the courts, and the administration of justice, okay, in the courts, you know. But it didn't happen to myself. And Joe, another thing as well. So that was that, right? When I was in. So she said, well, what she said to me then, he said, "Look, I suggest you get a sister from Miss Nash. She's getting very technical." So she appointed me permanent loans. So it was adjourned again, Joe, from, I think it was May.
And did you want a solicitor?
Well, I was defending myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, no, really, no.
No.
I was happy enough to defend myself because I felt I was articulate enough to do so.
This seems to be the latest line in courts, from what I can see, is that if people go in to defend themselves, the judges are demanding that you get a solicitor. Why? Is it money?
Why should I make a solicitor already richer than what they already are? And why should I take money off the state? Why don't I invest that money into the homeless?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
From my perspective, when the solicitors are appointed for you by a judge and the state is paying for them, why would these solicitors work for you when the state is paying for them? It makes no sense.
Total conflict of interest.
Yep.
Do you hear the old saying, a solicitor or somebody helps you, helps themselves?
Absolutely.
But that was in relation to that, Joe. So it was adjourned from May,
Yeah.
and I hope people see this, because maybe this happened to somebody else. So this is adjourned from May till September. It was adjourned from September until October.
Yeah.
So when they get to October, stood up there, no sign of the Garda again, and the DPP, which was the Inspector John Lawless, who produced this letter, may I add, Judge like to withdraw the charges.
And are we still in front of Seamus Hughes here?
No, this is Judge Steins in Tullamore.
Steins,
in Tullamore.
Yeah.
Now, what I done there, I was a bit bereft there, because I stood up and says, "Sorry, Your Honour, this is 5 or 6 occasions now. And why are you withdrawing the charges now? Why wasn't this withdrawn in March, when there was no alcohol in my system, when there was no drugs in my system? Oh, Miss Nash, once the DPP makes a decision, my hands are tied." And I says, "Your hands are tied? Well, what's your role?" And I said to the judge, "It's my constitutional right to a fair trial, and a fair hearing should be allowed to be heard, and due process take its course. I was not allowed to challenge the evidence from Garda Fallon on my arrest for drink driving, but more importantly, I was not allowed to challenge the false accusations made against me by Inspector John Lawless in relation to a letter that was handed by him to you, accused me of trying to kill Garda Fallon and her family. And you also, Your Honour, accused me of intimidating witnesses, where I was attacked, personally condemned and discredited against by you and the so-called Garda. Whereas I was summoned to appear in court for an offence under Section 10.7 of the Road Traffic Act 2010, and whereas I have not been arrested, interviewed or charged by any Garda in relation to this letter, where I was accused of trying to kill the guard and kill the guard's family. So, Joe, this is not an injustice.
No, it seems to be an avenue that they run down every time, the Gardaí. When they've set you up and they know they're getting caught, they turn around then and act the victim. You know, they have to try and find something, and it has to be eradicated from her.
And also, Joe, may I say as well, I just let this out, that when this letter was produced, and I said, serious defamatory allegation made against me, and she said, oh, did you write the letter? I said, no, I did not. I said, Judge, you're supposed to be impartial and unbiased, you know. But the problem is, dear Joe, that if she listened carefully, why would she make assertions that I was intimidating witnesses? And then she threatens me, Joe, I put you in contempt of court, Mr. Nash, or make it any more inappropriate comments.
Yeah, I don't know if there's such a charge as contempt, but again, you don't have such a thing as an impartial judge in this country because they're all politically state appointed, and they work with the Gardaí, and that's a major problem that has to be addressed in Ireland. We need total independence, and we need investigatory bodies set up to keep an eye on them.
So this happened last year, and that finally ended in October of 2015.
And that was that.
And that was that. And did they give you anything as regards to lay litigant? Did they give you any costs, anything like that?
No, but just that the sister Bernal Owens said that if I wanted to, I was dissatisfied with the way it was treated and the process. You know. Okay. That you can look for a judicial review.
Yeah.
You know.
It was a blatant breach of, fair process. Your rights were totally disregarded in these incidents. But that wasn't the end of it, that one, was it?
No, but what I've done as well, I've wrote to the DPP.
Yeah.
Asking them why they withdrew my case. Okay.
Did they write back?
They did write back, and they were saying then that there was the DPP withdrew the charges because basically they hadn't enough evidence. You know.
How can you have evidence in false allegations?
Well, this is it. So, I think the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, if you ask me.
So, what really they were saying is they couldn't create enough evidence.
Yeah. They couldn't manufacture it.
Yes, there we go.
And what about this so-called threatening Garda? What did they say about that?
What was the name? What is this?
But the letter, this so-called letter that your mentor wrote out.
Well, this is because I wasn't given an opportunity.
That's it here, we're going to put that in.
I wasn't given an opportunity to defend myself. so I'd like to ask the question now. So a Garda can go into court, make up anything he likes, accuse any person, and then the judge listens to the Garda and don't give him a chance to hear him.
But our problem is that we have a thing called GSOC, which won't investigate anything. There's no way of investigating or bringing these people to account.
It's a very good point you made there, that a guard can go in and make an allegation. And even if the allegation isn't proven, the fact is the stigma will stay with you.
Well, it's a character assassination.
That's exactly what it is.
The more they drag you into court, assassinate your character, the more easier it will be in the future.
I noticed with this particular instance here, that the allegation of a letter being sent is covered in the local paper. Now, is the withdrawal of the charges and the fact that you were innocent of all of that covered in the paper?
No,
I don't think so.
There was no further correspondence in relation to that.
There we go.
See, that's another problem, having the media controlled by the Garda press office and by the government.
Is there some kind of censorship within the media also?
There is, yeah.
I thought that hush, don't put that down.
Yeah.
You know?
Of course there is, it's totally controlled.
And they misconstrued as well, in the way they wrote that there may be, you see there, if you look at there, I mean, there may be intimidation there. The wording she used, or just bear with me now for a second, you know. He also said, appearance, there may be, oh yeah, after reading the letter, Judge Staines gave Mr. time to read it and added that there may be questions of intimidations. No, that's incorrect. The wording that Miss Staines, or Judge Staines used was, so you are intimidating. It's a big difference in you are and maybe. You see the way now the journalist for the Tullamore Tribune, misconstrue that. So they weren't telling the truth.
Well, that's why we're doing what we're doing. The truth is,
That's what I heard people do.
that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, just going back to that, okay, when I explained that my rights have been breached upon, okay, the judge says, again, Mr. Nash, once the DP makes a decision, my hands are tied.
Who said that? The judge?
The judge Stan said that.
Yeah, but the judge is impartial, isn't he?
She's supposed to be. She says, you know, she's my hands are tied. So before I knew it, yeah, and I said, Judge, well, look, I have a right to get a fair trial here and answer the false accusations.
You'd like to think.
And before I knew it then, 3 Gardai came over to me and removed me from the court. Okay? Removed me from the court.
That's crazy, because I don't think that can be done in a public court. First of all, there's no right to arrest in a court, and you have the right to clear your name. So that you were denied your rights there again.
Denied my rights there and then. And so I was kind of basically dragged and pulled out of the court. Now, I was very grieved over that. Now, I brought the GSOC. Now, GSOC allegedly carried out an investigation into this matter. Okay, and Mr. Paul Hanna, senior investigating officer, was the man. So what he did then is that he questioned some of the people, the Gardai and the court clerk, okay, in relation to what happened. But then he says that my evidence didn't match their evidence. And I says, did you carry out a proper investigation? Oh, yes, I did, Mr. Nash, he says to me. And I said, did you know? I said, who did you investigate? Oh, I investigated the people that you mentioned. And I said, that's fine. And he said to me, well, I don't believe you. He said, are you calling the judge a liar? He says to me, are you calling the Gardai? Yes, I am. But I said, if you carry out a proper, rigorous investigation, you would listen back to the audio equipment. Have you listened to that? No, I didn't, he says. Well, why didn't you? Because if you listen back to the DR, it will state clearly what I've said.
Just if anyone doesn't know, DAR is a digital audio recording system that's in the courts, whereby you can get, you can apply for a copy of the recordings of anything that's said in court. Now, the only problem being that anyone that looks for the DAR, sometimes it's already been tampered with.
Yeah, we've found that out.
We've had that problem in the past.
Never mind the price of it.
Yeah.
It's 250 euros ago, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, it's a lot more than that, mate.
But that's what what GSOC said. And then what he said to me, he said, okay, I'll get back to you, Mr. Nash. This was the 23rd of January. I'm still waiting for a phone call back from this gentleman.
So three months later.
Waiting a lot longer, I'd say.
So that's, and one more thing, Joe, sorry about this.
Yeah.
And I finish up in this part, is that I wrote to the DPP in relation to this, and I got a response. And the response was, dear Mr. Nash, thank you for your recent request asking us to explain why we did not prosecute your case. Okay, now this is 29th of February. Reasons for not prosecuting. When the Garda completed their investigation of your complaint, they sent an investigation file to this office. One of our lawyers examined all the material on this file in line with her guidelines for prosecutors. She concluded that the evidence available was insufficient to prosecute. For this reason, she decided not to prosecute. And this part is very interesting. Standard of proof. There is a very high standard of proof required in criminal cases. The prosecution must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the suspect is guilty. The suspect does not have to prove their innocence. Before deciding to proceed with a prosecution, our office must be satisfied that there is a reasonable prospect of conviction. If the available evidence is not strong enough, there can be no prosecution. I hope this letter and the enclosed information book will help you to understand why we decided not to prosecute it. Yours sincerely, Garrett Henry, Principal Prosecution Solicitor, Head of Communications and Victim Liaison, Dublin.
It's a true saying that paper never refuses ink.
There you go, folks.
Lip service. You were trying to pay your rent in Athlone, in the council office?
And this is unbelievable, Joe.
Yeah.
In February last year, on the 25th of February, I went to Athlone, I was paying my rent there, as you do, you know, be a proper upstanding citizen that pays their bills. I'll go in.
There we are. This is our friend Wayne in Athlone County Council paying his rent, and here we go.
Who's that? Two people going in, Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire, is it? Or would they be detectives?
What? Did you call them detectives? What's that other word we have in them?
Rashers.
I was thinking of something else.
Here they go, straight up to Wayne.
Oh, right.
Target them straight away. I wonder what that's about.
Beeline for Wayne.
Yeah, what are they on?
Wayne is doing a smart thing and taking out his phone.
Oh, he's going to record them. Fair play to him.
Oh, I wonder what he'll say.
They don't like that.
No.
What's the problem? What the problem? How are you doing? I'm being friendly. Can I not be friendly then? Can I not be friendly, no?
It's a public place, right? It's harassment, is it?
No.
Or what's the premise of you being here then?
I'm asking you, are you okay? How are you doing?
Hold on 1 second.
Nice day. Isn't it? Isn't it nice day? You're not going to talk to me.
So everybody knows.
My God, you could hear the sarcasm and cynicism in his voice, couldn't you?
Yeah, where's this fella off to?
What's he doing at the counter? Is he paying rent as well?
He's going up paying
Huh?
Wayne's rent, maybe, is he? And he's showing is he asking for information?
Or is he chatting up the one behind the counter?
If he's asking for information, he shouldn't be, because
that's
that's not
Yeah,
allowed.
Been out now after Wayne again, or
Yeah,
not?
he's followed him out. There they are on the top left-hand corner there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Wayne still has his
They're
phone.
they're just
out.
blocking his path, aren't they?
Just seems to be harassing him, just generally standing in his way, walking around him, annoying him. I would love to know what the conversation is.
Yeah. You're going to be a fly on the wall there.
Yeah.
Well, we are a fly on the wall. But
Oh yeah, literally are, mate. We're the bubbling, the eye in the sky right now. Are they making a...
God bless cameras. What
They're-
are they doing?
are they-
trying to take his phone?
Oh, hold on. Yeah, it looks like they're gonna... It looks like they're gonna make a play for his phone. And here we go.
Do you remember they took all? Is that, yeah. Do you remember they took Stephen Kerr's phones and my phones? I think they're opening up.
There
a
we
phone
go.
Shop.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Trying to take it.
Yeah, trying to take it. Yeah. Guard phone warehouse.
Yeah,
There we
that's
go.
what they're setting
Yeah.
up, huh?
I don't know.
Wonder if you buy a phone, do you get a few penalty points wiped off as well?
Possibly, no, like, you know.
That's not right. A man in a public building in a public place and girls.
I think there's a lot of witnesses there. These guys obviously are not aware of the cameras. That's what's going on here.
Probably not.
If they were aware of the cameras, they wouldn't be behaving like this. Like, you know, that's just harassment.
Sometimes they're wrapped up so much in their own power.
Oh,
What's going on?
Oh.
Did he push him against the wall there?
Looks like he did all right. Oh, jeez, that could be an assault.
Look at this going up and when he's on private business at a counter and following him up. That's pure harassment and intimidation.
Now, if he's asked there behind that counter for information on Wayne,
yeah,
that's not right. They can't really do that. Now, it's not the council's fault if they answer.
No,
they can't. But they can't. They shouldn't be. There's protocols for that.
Look at the two of them now hanging around. Are they going to wait for him outside?
Looks like that's the main door to the whole complex, isn't it?
Yeah, they probably thought to get him out there where there'd be no witnesses, but forgetting about the cameras.
Hi boys. We see you.
That's Wayne in the background there, is it?
No, that's another man coming
that's
out.
a man walking out, is it?
Well, you can imagine now a lot of people.
Yeah, they'd be wondering what's going on. Yeah.
It wouldn't be, you know, they'd even be standoffish on this.
Especially with Tweedledum and Tweedledee outside the door, huh?
What do you call them when they're standing each side? These men in.
Bill and Ben, the flower pot men, huh? Well, there's Wayne in the window.
Yes, there he is. What's
waiting for him? Huh?
It's like they're.
Yeah. He knows there's something wrong. He's reluctant to come out, isn't he?
Right.
Going back in again.
Wonder. Oh.
Look back there at him.
That looked a little bit sinister.
Oh, look at that woman there. Oh, she's even too scared to go out. Look, she's looking. She knows there's something wrong.
Yeah, you can still see her there.
Let's see. Is this Wayne coming?
There's Wayne.
There's Wayne again now. Is he going to go for it?
I think he'll make a run for it.
Yeah, he's going.
Go on, run
for us! Run for us! Run! Oh, they're after him. The chase is on.
The chase. They're out of breath already.
Yeah,
it's all right, Wayne. You're grand. Here
they go. Here they go. What?
That's the circus song.
Clowns, huh?
Clowns, yeah. Are they Muppets?
Muppets, one of the
What's
two.
the Muppets?
No, It's time to light the lights, huh?
It's time to face the music.
They
You've been caught on tape.
They haven't cornered now, have they?
What's going on here?
They think they're away from cameras now, so they do.
Aha. Oh! Did you see that?
They grabbed his phone, did they? Again.
That's a uniformed guard.
Oh, that's the superintendent he was on about.
That's just after grabbing his phone. I know that camera angle wasn't the best, but something did happen there. There's another camera angle.
Yeah. Oh, is there? Yeah. No, that's Liam. That's Wayne's friend there.
Yeah. The guard is trying to give him back his phone. Yeah. He knows he's caught.
Yeah.
Cameras never lie, Joe.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Here we go.
Here we go.
3, 2. There we go. Did you get that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
All right.
What is wrong with them?
They're obvious. They don't think there's cameras there.
No.
They don't. They don't know. They don't know, and they're they're actually no now.
Again, that's
Yeah.
again their attitude. We're above the law. We can do what we want.
Yeah.
As long as we don't get.
Slow motion. Want it in slow motion.
Yeah. Here we go. Is it? Yeah.
Very interesting. Let's get it in slow motion again. I
That's
think.
not. That's just. I don't know what is in their heads when they think they can do this.
This is actually, that's a theft right there, isn't it?
I would have thought so. Yeah.
Like, if
Well, I mean, if this is
if any,
allowed-
if anybody
Yeah.
did that
Mm.
in any other circumstance, that's a theft.
Sure,
He's
maybe-
no warrant or anything.
Yeah. So maybe we'll show this to a guard and go up on Robbie's phone and say, "Look, you're able to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, you're framed. You've been framed, boys. We have you."
Hey. Candid camera.
And the thing is that Gary and Joe is going to keep showing all this footage.
Mm-hmm.
He do wrong and we'll expose it. So Wayne is explaining to him now he's done wrong, isn't he? Well, I assume that's what he's doing.
Wayne is a smart lad, and he knows his rights, and he's probably explained it to them, and he knows that what they're doing
Yeah, it's wrong.
is wrong. Absolutely, what they did there was wrong. They've taken his phone now. I'd say what they're trying to do now is compromise and say, here, have your phone back.
Yeah,
But he's caught them.
Yeah, he's caught them right.
He's caught them. Now he's going to do a very smart thing here. He's as you can see, he's not angry. He's not
He's not reacting to them.
really. No, not really. He's going into the council office and he's reporting what's happened.
Yeah.
And for this way, he's asking that the cameras,
The footage be preserved, is
the
it?
footage be
Yeah.
preserved.
Yeah.
That he would need it to prove exactly what has happened here.
Well, I mean, the camera doesn't lie, and it's all there in front of us now, in
Yep.
black and white.
There
So
it is.
he has them. He has
And
them. Not that anything will be done to
are
them.
they
of course,
intimidating Liam there or trying? No, they're not. Not really. No.
No, he's back at the counter.
Now, here's where he's making his complaint, and this is what people should be wise to. You know, when things like this happen in public offices, check for things like this. Now, the reason he doesn't have the footage firsthand is because his camera ran out of memory, but luckily he had all of this to back him up.
Yeah,
Like.
he got back. Cause
Yeah.
people won't
Here's the
take.
guards going back in again now.
People won't take a citizen's word.
What?
Over guards. That's the problem.
They're going to try and give him
Oh,
his
they're
phone
coming back
again.
in,
Are
coming
they?
again,
I
yeah.
know they're going to
Yeah.
try and give him his phone.
That's it,
Any day the right thing. No,
You get rid of them, Wayne, yeah.
Bye bye, lads. Bye
Go
bye.
away, pair of rashers.
Bye
it.
bye.
Bye now,
See,
come again.
thanks for coming.
Bye.
And there he goes, finishing off his complaint. And this because he did it this way,
Yeah.
the camera evidence had to be preserved. They didn't
That's
really have an escape clause on this
No,
one.
no,
like,
it's
you know.
it's the only way to get them. You know, gather the evidence, keep it there, because our
Fair play, right?
word isn't taken in court. That's the problem.
No, and even this probably wouldn't be accepted in court.
No,
even,
they'll
like,
find
you know.
some way of making it
Yeah,
inadmissible.
yeah, absolutely. Well, fair play to you, Wayne. You showed them up there, and let's hope more people expose this kind of stuff, because
Yeah,
it
it has to be
happens
done, it has to be
every
done.
day.
Yeah.
Take out your cameras and look for the public ones. They're there. The information is there.
Yep. You found out then that there were two plainclothes detectives, yeah?
Yes, I found out recently, were, yes.
And they followed you into a council house, into a council office where you were paying your rent.
Yes.
Did they give you a reason why they were going
They
in?
wouldn't identify themselves to me.
They wouldn't identify
No, they
themselves.
wouldn't. I didn't know who they were from Adam.
That's a legal obligation on their behalf.
But apparently now on the footage
Yeah.
that he identified himself by way of pulling out a badge to Athlone staff members. But he wouldn't do it to me.
And Liam here was with you, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Yeah, you were going to.
He was,
And I came across where some little incident happened inside, as Wayne was saying, but I came across to Wayne about 10 minutes after that outside, and I didn't know about the altercation inside, you see.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I didn't know.
But what was the reason for approaching you? They didn't give you any reason, nothing, no?
There could be no reason at all, John. No, I mean, so I was there, and you see in the video footage
Yeah.
that on one occasion there too, that one of these guys banged off me, kind of hurt me back in the corner,
I actually seen that.
which is totally unacceptable, improper conduct by so-called guardians of the state.
So it's obvious from your activities in the court where you were prepared to defend yourself, you were anti-austerity and you were involved in the water. This would seem to be probably triggered off why they were actually watching you or following you.
Well, perhaps so, I don't know, but I mean, as a citizen of this country, Joe,
Exactly, you should
I
be
mean,
able to go in peace, yeah.
we're all entitled to the free movement, the free passage,
yeah.
without fear
Yeah.
or deprivation of liberty.
Yeah.
You'll see that they're trying to force me to speak against my own will,
Yeah.
but you'll see, I'm not going talking to me. It's a nice day, isn't it?
I even seen it that they went up to the counter and asked, were you in paying your rent? You know, and
So I felt sure that my rights, my data protection rights were breached upon.
Yeah.
That's like going into a bank And this guy goes and says, "Here, I see money in a bank."
And then, and worse than that, they took your phone.
And this is the crazy thing about Joe. When I left Athlone Town Council to go beside the Count John McConnell statue, Liam was there beside me. I could see a person walking up towards me, which was a superintendent.
What was his name?
Pat Murray.
The superintendent.
Superintendent Pat Murray of Athlone Garda Station.
And what was the two unmarked guards?
One was like Kieran Dempsey and Jarlath Nolte
Nolte.
was his name.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm there. I felt everywhere I went, they followed me. It was provocation. I felt it was harassment. It was intimidation. I was standing there at the statue. Then I could see me man coming towards me, the superintendent, and he said to me, "This is what he said to me. He said, 'What are you doing here?' He says to me. I said, 'Sorry, I pay rent here.' 'Well, you don't pay rent here.' I said, 'Sorry, no. I've already explained this to these two gentlemen who failed to identify themselves to me, and they disbelieved me.' And he said to me, then he said, 'Get out here.' And I said, 'Sorry, I've every right to be here just as much as you have.' Okay? Now, what I also said, I said, 'Sorry, by the way, how did these two gentlemen know my name?' And what he said to me, this is how I know they're detectives, he said, 'Oh, they're Detective Gardai, to know everybody's name.' And I said, 'So, you know everybody's name. Do you know this gentleman's name beside me?' There was a silence. So we all know the answer, they didn't know it and stuff like that. So that was grand anyway. So I had my phone in my hand because I felt threatened, I felt overpowered, I felt bullied, I felt a dispute was about to arise. So I just put up my phone. Now I wasn't even recording because my memory was full. So before I got a chance to put it even on recording, this man, he was speaking to Liam for a few seconds, and then watch very closely, folks, how sneakily and cunningly he puts over his hand and steals the phone out of my hand.
And naturally, we know there was no warrant there or anything, and your phone is private property. And under the Privacy Act, there's an awful lot of private information in that. And they, without any reason, just went up and took that phone off you.
I felt that my privacy rights was an intrusion there. And if you look closely on the footage as well, I could see that this Detective Garda, you could see him raising over his hand trying to stop my phone, but I was quick enough to pull back my phone.
Yeah, I understand it, but they got the phone eventually, didn't they?
They took the phone, Joe, and I was dissatisfied with this, so what I did then, Joe, I went in that Athlone Town Council,
Got the CCTV.
and what I said to the superintendent, I said, I hope you know that's theft, there's video cameras over here that see you taking my phone, and theft is theft. And I'm going in here to make a complaint to Athlone Town Council about my phone being stolen.
And you also went through the proper procedures, GSOC complaints and all that?
Yes, when I went inside just to make inquiries in relation to how I obtained the CCTV footage, I was at the brochure stand with Liam, and next thing I could see these two gentlemen come in, Kieran Dempsey, with my phone in his hand, handling stolen property, may I say. Hey, Wayne, here's your phone. I says, no, you hold on to that now. I'm making a complaint about my phone being stolen by your superior, which is the superintendent. So then he went off with my phone. Now, Joe, going back to your question, what I've done then is that I did go to the GSOC.
Well, we know GSOC, it won't be investigated anyway, but it's just going through the motions, as they say. We know GSOC is a waste of space.
May I ask you a question? When the guards went in and inquired whether you were paying rent or not in Athlone Town Council, did she confirm, or whoever was on the counter, did they confirm or deny anything?
Well, see, if you look at the video footage, okay, when they first approached me, now I have it on my own phone. When I had my phone, I said, "This is not harassment." Oh no, he says, "Well, what's the premise you've been here then?" "Oh, just being friendly." You don't want to be friendly. Nice day, isn't it? You're not going to talking to me. Just in that a few seconds that I recorded, luckily enough to have, I would have recorded more from my memory was full. This gentleman went up that Athlone Town counter, and you'll see it closely on the footage, okay, that he pulled out a badge or something, and he was speaking to this girl for, I don't know, a couple of moments, a couple of minutes, and then he came back into my direction, okay? So then, when he banged off me, when he tried to take my phone off my hands, when he banged off me, when we went up to the counter, what this detective says, does this man pay rent here? And she gave up my information to a third party without my consent, and she said, yes, Wayne Nash pays rent here. So I feel that my personal data has been disclosed to a third party without my consent.
It has to be. That has to be court orders and stuff got to get that.
But Joe, the problem is that when I made a complaint against Athlone Town Council, they said they wanted breach.
Of course, if there was
later on. But basically, what you're seeing here is another man that suffered 5 years of harassment by the Gardaí, basically for being an upstanding citizen.
For knowing his rights.
For knowing his rights, yeah. Anyone that's outspoken or can stand up to the powers that be.
Okay.
Fair play to Wayne for coming here to tell his story.
Well, thanks very much, Joe. Thanks, Gary.
Hopefully it'll help.
Yeah. Can I just say, is there any final thoughts? Liam, have you any final thoughts on it?
No, I was just, as I say, I didn't know about the altercation inside or whatever happened.
Okay.
And I was talking to Wayne earlier on that day, and he said he'd be up at the Civic Centre, pay his rent or whatever, and I'd arranged to meet up with him. And obviously when I came then, he was outside the building.
Yeah.
And there was two members of Garda Síochána in plain clothes. I didn't know who they were, and they didn't say to me who they were or anything, you know. And Wayne was talking to them at the time, and next thing before I know it, the superintendent came up in uniform, walked straight up to Wayne and started asking him, "What are you doing here?" and this and that, and you know, and why are you filming me? Why are you filming me? And Wayne said, "That's my constitutional rights. I want to, you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
And this and that. So obviously the superintendent got hydrated, if you ask me. He was saying Wayne was getting hydrated, raising his voice, because he kept saying to Wayne, why are you raising your voice? Why are you raising your voice? Why are you so argumentative? And Wayne turned around and said to him, "You're not listening to me. Will you please listen to me?
Yeah.
You keep asking me, what am I doing with my phone? What am I doing here?" And the next thing anyway, all I can remember is superintendent just wrestling the phone off him. And I was just totally and utterly, I thought I was seeing something. I really did. Like, had I nothing better to be doing? You have a superintendent, for God's sake, and two Gardai not in uniform. Like, for God's sake.
Liam, did you get the impression that these guards all knew Wayne?
You sort of, well, I knew of him maybe, I don't know, but Wayne didn't know anything, like, you know.
Right, yeah, that's well, this is where I'm going.
Like,
How did they know Wayne if Wayne didn't know them? That's
exactly.
where I would go with this. Like.
Apparently, come to think about it, I think this was the day before the elections or something.
Oh, Enda might have been around.
Yeah, and Gabriel McFadden was, she was actually a bit away, she was on tiptoes, because I came across her, and she was on her tiptoes. I just couldn't help but notice her looking on her tiptoes as I was walking up to Wayne.
So we're seeing
you know, I looked around twice.
We're seeing a lot more political policing as it's going on.
When the two unmarked Gardai came in then to offer Wayne his phone back, the superintendent should have kept his phone, seeing that he took it off him, not gave it to a member of Garda Síochána that wasn't in uniform, and give it, and for him to hand it to one of them.
Yeah.
All his private confidential information would be on that.
It was all compromised, yeah. It was all compromised.
I just say very well, sorry. I mean, keep using this mantra, "Oh, you're aggressive."
Yeah.
They keep, like that's what he keeps saying. That remember, he keeps saying that, "Well, you're aggressive and you're raising your voice," which it wasn't.
Yeah.
The only aggressives here was the Gardaí.
Yeah.
It's like their famous saying, "Known to the Gardaí."
Yeah,
you know,
that one. Yeah.
And the other thing as well. I mean, this is what I've done as well, Joe. Is that I've written to the superintendent, asking him what was the reasons to why he stole my phone. Okay.
Well, if it's anything like the superintendent's down here, then you won't get much of a reply.
But I got a reply, Joe.
Oh, I see that.
A very generic one, I'd imagine.
It's very.
You let Joe read this out.
I'll read it out. Dear Mr. Nash, I refer to your correspondence dated 26th of February 2016. Members of Garda Síochána had reason to interact with you on the 25th of February 2016. The issue that arose was dealt with under existing legislative enablers. As you appear to have sent a copy of your correspondence to several people, including the Garda Síochána Ombudsman Commission, I am reluctant to discuss this issue further, lest I might interfere with any independent process you might wish to engage in. However, if Garda Síochána can dispel any misapprehension you might have in relation to the issue, I will be happy to discuss the matter with you further if you wish.
Okay.
Signed by Superintendent Pat Murray.
Okay.
But the thing about that is that one, he's saying under existing legislation, is he just using that word? And
Yeah, he hasn't provided what the legislation actually is.
Yeah.
And exactly, and plus he says that he just want to comment because it might interfere with any independent investigation process I wish to engage in, right?
Yeah.
But then he's saying, "Oh, if you want to have a chat, Mr. Nash, I'll have a chat with you."
No, well, I think what he said there at the end was.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. But under whose directions was the superintendent acting under? Was it on Taoiseach Enda Kenny, or was it Fine Gael T. Gabby McFadden? And has she the powers, or Mr. Kenny, to direct the superintendent to carry out an illegal or an unlawful act in relation to my phone being stolen out of my hands by the superintendent, Pat Murray?
It's very unusual to see a superintendent walking on the beat. What was he doing on the beat that day?
Because he was speaking to Gabby McFadden, who's in a Fat Cab restaurant, and he confronts me, approaches me, I'm out with 50 metres, Gary.
Gary knows all about being targeted and thrown out of places.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, when I finish up on this, I think it's quite disgusting. It's disgusting behaviour by your so-called guardians of the state.
Right.
See, Wayne get a fair trial. He's been acquitted in every court so far since I've known him. I've known Wayne now the last 2 years now. So I've had, and every court I've been to, and he's been seen being acquitted because he has the truth to prove to the judge, like, that he's in the right, like, you know.
Well, if I was to ask you that, do you believe that Wayne has been mistreated or deliberately targeted, especially in the courts?
Mistreated, big time.
Big time. Okay. Joe?
Yeah, I'm just shocked at what I've heard today. I've read through a lot of the files, and we'll be working with Wayne on it. I'm absolutely shocked at what I've read here and what I've heard, and it's just disgraceful, you know. And again, Gardaí, the superintendent, Pat Murray, and them they should be absolutely ashamed of themselves.
I'll leave the final word with you. Oh, Liam, sorry, do you want to get in before we go?
Just, as the superintendent, and as I say, arresting the phone off him, Wayne obviously said to him that it was all on camera, and then Wayne turned around and said, "What have you got to say about the corruption and malpractice in that Lone Garda station?" This is what he did say to him, and he turned around to Wayne and said, "Sorry, this is not the time or place to be talking about this. If you have a problem about that, you come and see me in confidence." You know.
I just at one point, do you think that the Gardaí are trying to open a phone shop or a warehouse?
Yeah.
Because I think they've taken about 6 phones on me, they've taken Anne's, they've taken yours. Everyone I know that has had the phone taken off by the guards.
Maybe the guard phone warehouse. How about that? Like,
something going on anyway.
All right, Wayne, I leave the final word with yourself.
I'd like to thank you, Gary, for having us. I'd like to thank Anne and Joe.
Fair play to
Very
you.
welcome as always, and thanks very much. But no, just look at what I'm trying to highlight here today is the injustices and the wrongs by members of Garda Síochána and members of the public. Okay, and that's what I'm just trying to highlight as well. And I was looking through the Dáil there recently on brochures, and just came across there. This is highlighted with the malpractice and misconduct in that Lone Garda station, but I'm sure this is replicated and reciprocated up and down every town, village and city in Ireland. So I'd like to get this message across to anybody who's gone through what I've gone through, or Joe, or any member of the public's been harassed and bullied, that you're not alone. Okay, we want to get this highlighted and we all stick together. But just in relation to this this piece of paper I have here, which I came across, and it's about the superintendent. Okay, and it says here, okay, this is Mick Wallace, okay, and Claire Daly, okay, and they were briefing Francis Fitzgerald, the Minister for Justice, in relation to this. And it says here, tomorrow morning, I will give the Minister proof of a district officer, Superintendent Pat Murray, reclassifying crime figures. This is an individual who's harassed and bullied a Garda whistleblower to an awful degree for a long time. So what I'm saying now, even if members of Garda Síochána are being bullied or harassed by their superiors, it's totally improper and it's totally unacceptable. It's not acceptable in the workplace, it's not acceptable in the school ground, and it's not acceptable in the workplace. And so I'm asking today, any good members of Garda Síochána, if they're being bullied or being harassed, please come forward and list will have misconduct. And just a final point, this Gary, right?
Yep.
With the previous superintendent, Aidan Glacken, who was allowing the sale and supply of what Joe said about heroin and speed in the town of Athlone, just to get the crime figures up. Now we also have Mr. Pat Murray, another superintendent, okay, reclassifying crime figures. So is this systemic going on around Garda stations in this country? And let me say you this, superintendents get paid the bones of 100,000 per year. And these people are supposed to be honourable, respectable, decent men and show nothing but integrity. So how can people of this country have confidence? How can I even go on to a superintendent? And go back what you said, Liam, if you got something to say to me, say it in private. So everything you're saying, people, in private, is falling on deaf ears.
Yeah.
And that's what I have to say about it.
Well, it's also, as you said, you only have to look at, was it Alan Shatter when he was in the Minister for Justice?
It's justice.
And Martin Callanan, was it?
Oh yes, what Martin Callanan says, I find disgusting, quite disgusting, when members of Garda Síochána can make complaints against members of Garda Síochána. So in other words, Joe, you're a guard, I'm a guard, and he's a guard. So I'm doing something wrong, raping, stealing, you know, something improper. You're supposed to turn a blind eye, you're supposed to turn a blind eye. This is like the priest we had about molesting innocent kids.
Yeah.
This is wrong. So we need to get this right and clean up once and for all.
Who's got the job now?
And oh yes, and now who's the job now? The person who was whispering to Martin Callanan's ear is the Minister for Justice, or sorry, is the Commissioner Francis Fitzgerald. So
Major changes, but they did say that, if I recall it right, they said there will be major changes in Garda Síochána, and his right hand woman gets the job.
That's the man.
Martin Callanan, Noreen O'Sullivan. Yeah, okay. What has changed, folks?
Nada.
We need accountability, transparency and decency.